Welcome, welcome. I'm very excited to be here with y'all. I thought y'all were going to be introduced as being on the FIFA panel, and I was going to be introduced as JT Batson, grade 8 referee. But I'm really excited for this. One of the things that I polled the audience, what do you want to know? And some of the questions that folks want to know is, where'd you really cut your teeth as a referee? You don't jump from early days directly to the pros or the international game. Where did you find your sea legs as a ref?
Yeah, for me, it's the amateur game, hands down. I only said that because John Mata was in the room. No. No, hands down, I think, youth, you learn a lot about the laws and how to apply them, the basic principles, right, of the game. And then it's really amateur, where you get these ex-professional players who knew the game better than you do, frankly. And they also, you have quite the balance in an amateur game, right, where you've got guys who have to be at work on Monday and they don't want to get tackled like some of the guys think they can still tackle, right? And they miss the ball and they're like, did I miss the ball? I'm like, yes, that was an ankle, not the ball, right? So it's really the amateur game where you learn how to manage players, how to, especially when you're a young referee. These guys are 20 years older than me. They know the game so much better than I do, and I kind of have to fake it till you make it. It's definitely something we do in the amateur game. You also learn how to pull your car in backwards in case you need a quick exit in some of these amateur leagues. I see some head nods. I know you guys acknowledge what we're talking about, but that's definitely where I think referees, you roll up your sleeves and you get really dirty there. And I think a lot of referees today try and skip the amateur leagues because there's so much soccer. You really can. You can go directly from youth to professional. And I always challenge them, you've got to do the amateur game. There's nothing quite like it.
Great.
I have the exact same answer. I mean, the men's over 30 games, that's how I learned how to referee. That's how I learned how to manage players, manage people, manage myself on the field. I mean, every single decision you make is, you're going to get somebody to argue with you. You're going to have your own confidence in your decisions. I mean, that's actually where you're learning how to be a referee, for sure.
And I'm curious, did at any point in those experiences you go, whoa, this is too much, this is not for me, or was it the opposite of like, this is kind of fun?
I mean, I think every referee probably has a moment in their career where they go, yeah, this is too much for me. I think that every weekend you go out, and a lot of the times as you're coming up in the ranks, you're alone out there. You're refereeing these games on your own, getting yelled at all day, and then coming home and going, why am I doing this, right? So I think that it's always really important to recognize those moments and then find what kind of pushes you past those in your refereeing career as well, right? For me, it's always been the support of other referees, whether it be on that game or on that field, or finding mentors or finding people that you can turn to when you have these difficult moments. But I definitely can say that it's not always an easy road for a referee.
Yeah, I think likewise. I think especially in some of those moments when you have a really tough game and you come out alive on the other side of it, you have this feeling of success, and you have this moment where you go, wow, I'm good at this, and this is fun, right? When you can convince a player who's sitting on a yellow card to modify his behavior in such a way that he actually stays on the field when you thought he wasn't ever going to stay for 90 minutes. Like, those are the beautiful moments as a referee where you're like, I positively impacted this game in a really good way, and I added value. This was a safe, fun environment for everyone. And there are moments when the game's starting, you go, oh boy, right? And when you can rail it back in, and that takes a certain skill set that's developed over a long period of time of working with many of you guys in this room to help us get there. Those are the moments where you're like, this is fun, right? But we've certainly had plenty of moments where you second guess what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I encourage referees to always have a why that we're doing it. And for, I think, most of us, it's the love of this game. And we really do enjoy it just as much as players and coaches and everyone else. And that's why we're out there doing what we do.
So you've refereed in World Cup finals. What at this point can actually cause you to go, oh boy, in a game?
I had one just the other night. This game never ceases to amaze me. I was in the Saudi League handling their final match for their cup. They had a little preseason tournament. I think many of you might be familiar. Inter Miami was there as well. And Cristiano Ronaldo is sitting on a yellow card. I was sharing this story with Katie just briefly ago, and he boots the ball into the air, which is what he gets his first yellow card for, and he's just frustrated. His team isn't playing well. He's frustrated from the game itself, and sure enough, he boots the ball again into the air. And that
counts as an oh boy.
Yeah, that counts as oh boy, what am I doing, right? Because now I'm in a position in a very high profile match with the highest profile player, right? And I have to make a decision of how I'm gonna handle this, right? And his action is not dissent towards me, but it certainly is to the game. And I could send him off for this action, certainly, right? But then the storyline is me. And so as referees, we have to balance this oftentimes. So that was an oh boy moment that I had maybe 20 hours ago, actually.
I mean, I love fiery games. You know, it's that fun, really difficult match, and I think Tori was alluding to this earlier too, where you know that you're the only one in the field that's just made this incredible decision, but it's what kind of like fuels you and fires you and makes you keep going. And you know that those are the kind of games that give us the energy that make us want to come back, right? So there are still experiences, you know, every game is different. This doesn't get boring for me, you know, it doesn't matter what we've done and what we've achieved. Like there's always something to gain from the game, always something to learn and be better from, and I love that about football.
Speaking of experiences, where's a stadium or a place or a tournament where, given you've refereed all over the world, done all these incredible things, where's somewhere you still want to referee?
I mean, there's so many, right?
Doesn't have to be just one.
There are so many places I would love to go. I talked a little bit about my experience at Saudi. That was certainly not on my list of places I wanted to go, and wow, was I amazed. And this game has given us those types of opportunities and experiences. I haven't had the opportunity to work in Europe at all, and I would love that opportunity. That's where the game started, and to be able to be in those types of arenas, I would love the privilege, and there's a long list of those types of stadiums there that I would certainly love the opportunity to.
I think at this point for me, I'm always excited to go to a new place, right? So I just got to check off Nicaragua this week. That was a big deal for me. I've covered Central America now, you know. I have this map at home that has all my pins. So really, maybe it's less about the stadium and more about like the country and the different region. And, you know, every time we get to go to a new place, you know, we were in Saudi together a month ago. We get to see what soccer is like through the eyes of another country and another group of people, and that is awesome. You know, just to see the passion and the love that we have shared across the world. I love seeing that in every place I can get.
So you've obviously been at the pinnacle of refereeing and the pinnacle of our sport. Now, what's changed for you since that big day this summer?
Well, I'm here on the stage with you, JT.
So it's not all good, is what you're saying.
No, thank you for the opportunity to be here, really. And I was honored when you invited us, and I've shared this with you personally, but I think it's important to acknowledge, to see refereeing as part of the agenda, to see refereeing as a part of these panel decisions, I think is so critically important for, we call it the ecosystem of the sport, but it is so paramount for this game to grow in this country. Officials have to be on the agenda. And so I'm privileged to be on this stage, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity to speak with you all today, but I think it's moments like this that doing the World Cup final has provided not just myself, but I hope all of the referee family feels a bit of pride in what we have accomplished at Australia and New Zealand. And I'm so excited for what's ahead, because it's certainly not the end, it's just the beginning the way I see it.
I don't think I can't do any better than that, so we're just gonna leave it at that. Well said.
So before we came on here, BJ and Twyla said, it's really awesome that you guys are refereeing finals, but they hope it never happens again because our teams are playing in it. So but otherwise, so one of the things that I think a lot of folks don't appreciate is referees are elite athletes, and the training required, the sort of physicality, and sort of also what that means in terms of your ability to make decisions when you're going that hard. How do you approach that? What's training look like? Unpack that for the room, because I don't know that folks have a full insight to what exactly that looks like.
Sure. Yeah, we train as much, if not more, than the players. I mean, we have to be able to keep up at all times with the play, and we also don't have subs. That's like key to remember here, right? So
although many players sometimes wish you could be subbed.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. But we always have to be in the right position at the right moment, right? And so that takes such a high level of training, and every type of training. We have to be an endurance fit. We have to have a high capacity for high heart rates. We have to be fast. It's such a unique role to have, and to have to be so fit in so many aspects. So the training can be quite intense. I know both Tori and I work in men's football as well, so we need to be able to keep up with the men's players. And for women to do that, that's even more training for us to be able to keep up with those players. I work as an assistant referee. I have to stay in line with that second to last defender or the ball. And the ball moves a lot faster than me, right? So like this is the kind of training that this is the level we need to be at all times for all 90 minutes, sometimes 120 if we're lucky, you know, and so for us, we're training constantly and focusing on those areas.
So whatever Katie just said, double it, because she only runs half the field. Kidding. She's also been at it longer than I have, so maybe that's not an accurate statement. But no, absolutely, and I don't think people realize, so thank you, JT, for the question, just what goes into performing, and we are athletes, and it is a mindset. It's not just about the training, it's also about nutrition and how we fuel our bodies and the choices that we make. It is a lifestyle that we've invested to be a part of this game. It's every decision that we make, from what time we wake up and making sure we get the right recovery sleep in order to maximize our ability to train at the levels that we need to in order to challenge our bodies. Maybe it's an 8,000 feet altitude test that we have to take 24 hours prior to our other fitness test. That's our reality just a few weeks ago. So there's a lot that goes into it. Like Katie mentioned, we have to take the same physical standard tests that our male counterparts have to meet in order to work in Major League Soccer and also at the men's competition level for FIFA. That means those sprint times don't change because we're just females. It's the same game. So we have to challenge ourselves even more than sometimes our male counterparts in order to meet the demands of the game. And I will happily do that because the game is only getting faster. And so we have to teach ourselves that this is now where we're at today, and tomorrow it will be faster that we need to hit, and it will be faster. And so it's really a mindset that I have adopted as well as how we approach training. And it's everything from strength training to sprints to intervals. Everything that you see the players doing, we're doing just without the ball, pretty much.
So you mentioned the training. As you know, we're building a new home and a national training center. You know, a lot of folks think about, well, what are the needs for players, what are the needs for coaches, but how should we be thinking about the needs for referees at a national training center?
I think it's no different than how you think of it for the players. And I think the more that we take the mindset that the referees have the same needs as the players, I think the better off we'll all be. We need the same classrooms for training. We need the same fields to be able to train on. We need the same equipment in the same gyms. We use the same equipment, we just don't need the ball. And maybe we do need the ball for some of our technical stuff anyway. But I would say it's the same exact access, and I hope that this is an invitation for us to come to Atlanta once that facility is ready.
Very, very, very much an open invitation. That's something we're very excited about.
And just to add too, this can also be a collaboration with the players, right? We love training with players, right? And we love getting real life situations that we get to practice with, and we can only do that with players in a ball. So, I mean, we're happy to coordinate. It gives players the opportunity to kind of test out their skills and, you know, tricking the referees. They always enjoy it, you know? So it's kind of a good opportunity for everyone.
I know the next panel, we've got the players coming up. So Gooch, maybe one of the questions is around, you know, what are the latest techniques for tricking referees? See if we can test that.
I can't wait to listen.
We've got a room full of folks who are very influential in their soccer communities, and as I shared before, there's hardly a meeting I have with a stakeholder where refereeing is not a topic. And you know, if you had advice for folks in the room around how to encourage folks, let's say folks are already referees but conceivably want to go on the journey What advice would you have around how to approach that and how they can be great supporters and mentors of referees in their community?
When you're looking at any job, right, it's important for an employee to be in an environment that they can be supported, right? And I think one of the areas in refereeing that's lacking is always having support, right? We're often the enemy in a game, or often the one that gets easily blamed, or something like that. So I think anybody in this room, anybody in any role can be supportive of refereeing and of a referee, right? It's creating an atmosphere where they feel comfortable on the field, just as you would do for players, for coaches, an atmosphere that's encouraging, that allows people to develop, that allows people to learn, and I know this one's hard, but allows people to make mistakes, because that's going to happen for development, right? So I think anybody in this room can encourage that type of atmosphere for somebody to grow in.
Katie, I think that's excellent, and I would echo the environment is so critical. Just like our players, we allow them the space to learn. I would challenge you guys to allow referees the space to learn. They're also learning the game all the same, at the same rate that the players are. And if we allow them the space to do that, if we see the field as truly a playground that it is, for us to explore different management techniques and different techniques, I think it'll be better for all of us, as well as us looking and saying we're giving them the space to learn and expecting that mistakes will happen, and we're okay that mistakes happen, just like our players past make a wrong decision all the time. We watch this, right? Our referees are going to make mistakes too, and I think the more that we provide the space for that to happen, I think the better the environment will be for officials in general. And I think that's really important. I think on one of the earlier panels we heard the coaches talk about coaching being a good career. Help us make refereeing a good career, because it can be a career. It now can be a full-time job for officials, and we've made it at the highest level, and it has given us profound experiences. But let us all work together to make refereeing a good career for the next generation.
Well, it's a perfect tee up to last question. So as you know, this week we announced that we just hired Carrie Seitz as our new VP of refereeing. What advice do you have for Carrie as she takes on this role?
Go ahead.
Remember, this is on video.
Listen, Carrie's been a part of U.S. soccer forever. She's been a supporter of us for my entire career. She's been a huge spokesperson for referees all over the world. She's done incredible things, whether she's been in the U.S., whether she's been traveling around the world. I have no doubt that she's not going to do the same thing now here with U.S. Soccer. So, she's always been open and willing to listen, and I can't see how that's going to change now.
All right, so I'm not going to let you off that easy. What advice do you... yes, we think Carrie's great. Carrie's wonderful. That was a heck of an answer. Very good answer. I can see why you're good at talking to coaches on the sideline and calming them down. But what advice do you have for her? Come on, what do you got?
Well, all right, here's what I'm hearing from everybody I've been able to talk to so far.
Put it on everyone else. I like it. This is good.
Smart.
We're having a referee retention issue, is what I'm hearing from a lot of people I was talking to in the short time I've already been here. And so I think that being an initiative should be a priority, right? The game keeps growing, there's more football, we need more referees, and then we need to keep the referees. And I think that is probably the hardest part right now, is learning how we can keep those referees.
Great.
I echo everything Katie said about Carrie. She's been a mentor and someone I've looked up to my entire career. Coming up through the ranks, I've had the opportunity to work with her at different tournaments, and she is an incredible human being. She's a trailblazer on and off the field. I go to her for advice, JT. I don't necessarily think I have advice for Carrie. I think the only thing I would tell her is you do you, girl, because whatever she does is going to be incredible, and the game will be better for us having her back in the United States, hands down.
Amazing. Well, thank you all very much. It's such an honor to be up here with you, and really appreciate you spending time with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, JT. Thank you, guys.